Uh, Hey guys. So I've been getting a lot of questions about my cast on crit build. People have been asking me like what setup am I using, like what spells, the whole shebang. Especially because CoC got changed recently. So I figured I'd just make a quick video. I'm using Cosprees. Go figure. But here's a neat. Okay, so I'm using Frostbolt and Ice Nova, double Ice Nova. The main reason behind that is Ice Nova got changed in this patch, along with Cast on Crit, and what it does now is when you cast Frostbolt. Here, actually, I could show you. Check that out. Ice Nova, and then put a Frostbolt right there. Okay, so when you cast, where is it? There it is. When you cast Frostbolt, right? If Frostbolt is out and you Ice Nova, see it cast twice. It doesn't destroy the Frostbolts either. So what happens is the Frostbolt will hit the mob, so that's one portion of the damage. And then both of those Ice Novas going off are separate instances of damage. So, well, not even technically. What happens is a mob will get hit 3 times in that short span. So, instead of... Because I was just using, like, Ice Nova in here for clear. Because then when you'd crit, you'd trigger the Ice Nova and it would take care of packs. And then you just Cyclone for, like, rares, so you could get extra damage via the Ice Nova Frostbolt interaction. But then I got to thinking, if I put another Ice Nova in here so that Frostbolt triggers first with an Ice Nova from the main CoC setup, and then on the second crit, Ice Nova will go off on the previous Frostbolts along with another set of Ice Novas. These count as 2 separate triggers. They have the same skill, but they, like, this is a cast on crit trigger and this is a Cosprees trigger, so they'll go off. So this will be 3 hits on your initial critical. Your second critical will be 4 hits because it'll trigger on the Frostbolts. Here's a quick demonstration. It's pretty hectic looking. The clear is pretty damn good though. Kind of hard to like see because I'm using MTX on one of the Ice Bolts, but it doesn't really look different. So you can kind of see it. It's just non-stop chaining of Ice Novas. But because it shotguns, it also interacts with things like life on hit very well. Here I can pull up POB real quick. This is Ice Nova per Ice Nova. This is unoptimized gear. I still got a lot of things I can improve upon. A little 89 tree. I'd get that, and then I would get what is that, 91? I'd probably get that too. And then if I wanted to keep leveling, I'd just top off on life. Go to 96, 98. That's achievable. I mean, it'd take a lot of time, but it's achievable, right? And then you're looking at like 5,700 life. You get better gear, more life on the gear, because like my rings are crafted life. And then you'd probably have around 6k, and then you are dodge and evasion, which is pretty good, especially in like incursion and against the betrayal mobs. Anytime I die, I've died because I'm softcore. Anytime I've died, it's just from like user error for the most part. Like I use Wall Cyclone, that kills me a lot, but it looks really cool, so I just do it all the time. I don't care. But then, you have besides the dodge, you also have the constant crit cold, so freeze and chill constantly. I have aspect of the spider for the hinder and the movement speed debuff, as well as 15% increased damage taken, which is pretty good. Then you have Warlord's Mark on Blasphemy for your leech. This is pretty good, but it's not enough life gain on hit to basically like burst your life. You want elevator all the time. You won't be spiking your health. You won't get hit for 4k life and then suddenly be back up to 5k immediately. It won't work that way. I don't even think you could possibly get. I mean, you'd have to get 2 at least. And maybe with these colors, if you wanted to take away some damage. See, I'd get Iron Will should be hypothermia for 1. I'm just getting unlucky with the colors. But if I wanted to keep this, I could get life gain on hit gem, and then if I got another life gain on hit by your spells ring, then we'd be looking at elevator life in those dire situations. But for the most part, your life, because of all the defenses, such as the chill, the freeze, the aspect of the spider, the dodge, the evasion, you don't really ever get hit. And when you do get hit, you'd have to get pretty unlucky to take 2 big hits back to back, because again, I keep saying that, you're cycloning, so you're constantly manually dodging big hits, right? So it's fairly tanky. I mean, I wouldn't say you just go in and face tank everything. That won't really work. But for the most part, you're not really getting hit. Okay. So that's the defenses. There's not too much to explain. Now, another option you have, instead of Queen of the Forest, I went Queen of the Forest just for quality of life, really. Because before I got Queen of the Forest, it's basically you go around leap slamming. Also, that's another thing. You can shield charge, but I've noticed leap slam, since the change, is actually pretty good. Like, I mean, it was pretty good last league, but I feel like it's even better now. The only instances where I feel like it would be worse than since the change, is if you are stacking a ton of attack speed, which we have to, as much as we can at least, because, but it's also not enough to lower leap slam or any of the movement speed skills down low enough for it to be like super fast. So the change to leap slam and like whirling blades as well really works out for this build, because you're not like, the only attack speed I'm really able to get is through jewels, right? And these jewels, I have one. Where is it? Like that. You would want 3 of them like that. Now you can change this build. You can change the tree up and get like another socket or something, and get a little bit more attack speed, a little bit more life. But most of your attack speed will come from the jewels. These are pretty good. That's pretty good. You can get up to like 13-14% just from a 2-stat. Pretty sure that goes up to 8 and 5. So yeah. You can go, yeah. So, I mean, if you're packing loads of exalts, then yeah, you could probably go with a 4-stat and get a 3rd attack speed roll, which would be amazing. But this is what we have. So you have the attack speed on your jewels, and you also have the real juicy coordination. Then you have where is it? I think there's another one. Maybe not. I guess not. No, wait. Retribution. You have that, and then you also have Blood Rage. And on bosses, Ancestral Protector. Lowers it down to 1.8. Lowers it down to 1.6. Now, let's go back to Blood Aqueducts, because while you're clearing, you should have, look at that. So with all those buffs, Frenzy, Blood Rage, and Ancestral Protector, only 0.16 attacks per second. You want to aim for 1.5 or 0.15, because that's the new cast on crit and cost breeze trigger right there, the cooldown time. Now that is very hard to do, and I will be able to do it once I get attack speed on my gloves, but once you get that attack speed, that attack time, you can't, the only way to get more damage would be through crit, like crit multi, and then, you know, you could get it flat. I wouldn't really recommend flat because there's not a whole lot of scaling. This is just pure crit, right? I mean, it's pretty good, but you'd be pushing it. You'd have a real rough time trying to get flat life, or not flat life, but flat damage anywhere, or say like this Heart of Ice. That'd be really big damage, but it's a huge travel cost to get to, considering all the crit that you need to to have a reliable playstyle. That's another thing. The lower your attack time, the higher your crit that you need for a smooth playstyle. Now, I'm only rocking, this is without power chargers, which I have 7 of, 33.2, and that, where is it, is with increased critical strikes. It's only level 17 because I just flipped it, but like, it is hard to get the amount of crit that you need. Now, this is another reason why we go Cyclone. Cyclone, so I just cast it once, used it once. Now, the game will roll the dice, and let's say if it's a crit, this whole section that I just did, all of those are crits. Now, if it rolls non-crit, those are all non-crits. And while you're mapping, you're kind of doing small, maneuverable bits. So sometimes you won't crit, and you'll feel it, you'll notice it. That's where increasing the crit comes in handy, right? I mean, you can improve your playstyle, you can maneuver better, blah blah blah. There's not really much else you can do on that part. So basically, get as much crit as you can. I mean, it comes with cast on crit, and you want to get as much attack speed as you can. Cyclone is the best for attack speed because it gives the most amount of more attack speed. Blade Flurry is also good, but again, you lose out on maneuverability, like while attacking, right? So with Cyclone, you'd be able to dodge while you're attacking, while you're triggering. Blade Flurry, you can move, but you have to stop casting. Blade Flurry for cast on crit would be good if you are trying to focus down, right, in a certain area, right? So if you want to cone out this way, if you want all of your attacks to go that way, Blade Flurry is great. So if you're not doing like a Frostbolt or Ice Nova, something that's very AoE, very AoE, like basically I just deal damage to this whole area right here while I'm cycloning. Bosses, I can see bosses being really good with Blade Flurry. If you don't like the Cyclone playstyle, there's all kinds of choices nowadays. But for cost breeze, I would definitely recommend Blade Flurry or Cyclone. Lancing Steel, I've seen people use it, but again, that is one of those where I would not recommend it. Oops, I would not recommend it on an assassin. I would recommend it on possibly Scion, Definitely like a ranger slash deadeye would be great with it. You just need so much attack speed in order to make it work. Because again, more attack speed, the faster and more reliable your triggers will happen. But we're gonna talk about this build. Anyways, this is some general cast on crit. I've tested a few things. This is the best one I've found so far. But anyways, trying to get attack speed. So you have to get the Cyclone attack speed enchant. This will give you more damage than like Ice Nova or Frostbolt enchants. Any of them, right? Cyclone attack speed is just too good. Lyco. It is required. It is definitely required. I take this off and there is no, because of the way crit works, 69%. The way crit works is you roll your hit. If it's a hit, and I'm pretty sure this is how it works. It could be, I could be flipping some things around, but it's basically you roll your hit. If it's a hit, then you roll crit. If it's a crit, you roll hit again. Right? So your hit chance is rolled twice. So if you have, let's say let's say the difference between like 89% hit chance versus like 92 for a crit build is huge. It's such a huge damage boost. It's such a huge you reliably crit way more than usual, or not usual, but it's just, you get what I'm saying. So for a crit build, especially one like this, like a cast on crit, like Lycosidae is the bee's knees. All right, now let me see if I have like any weapon. I can also show you. Here we go. Now let's say you don't want to get a Cosprey. Cosprey is expensive. Hell, I'll even take off Pandemonius because it is also very expensive. What's it at now? I think it's, yeah, 3x. Cosprey is pretty sure 3x. This is all in Betrayal League. No, 2.5. I got a pretty decent roll. And again, attack speed is really all that matters. Okay, so we'll go into here. All right. You don't need, you don't need a Cosprey's. It still feels pretty good without it. But Cosprey's will basically triple your damage versus single target, and it will greatly increase your clear speed. I would say by like 1.5 times, right? It's not the best. It's not like, you could probably get slightly better for clear speed if you just cared about clear speed. But once you start doing the map bosses, I would say above tier 5, you'll start feeling it. That's when you should probably start saving up for Cosprey's. I would say Lyco, get a Lyco, try to get a Lyco as soon as you can, then go for Cosprey's. Then I've been rocking a 5-link up until 88. Didn't have any issues. I just wanted to try out Coin of the Forest, and I got lucky. I got lucky on a 6-link, I'll admit it. But you don't really need a 6-link. Hell, you could do this on a 4-link. You'd go Cyclone, cast on crit, Ice Nova, increased critical strikes, and you'd be good. You still have really good damage. All you'd need is a fast attacking weapon, right? I mean, probably get one with high base crit too, especially before Cosprey's. I recommend. I was using Mortem Morsu for the majority of the leveling process. So once I went cast on crit as soon as I could. I don't know if I have one. As soon as I could equip a Mortem Morsu, I just went cast on crit, and then honestly had a great time. I had a great time. You just follow this. Get this, get the life, go up here, get that life, go up here, get that, and go. Well, leveling, I would recommend, if you go with Ice Nova, I would recommend getting the AoE right there. Get that. Once you get the power charge, I'd go and get this area, get that power charge, and then go down here. You can also do it with like Arc. Arc is pretty good while leveling. I wouldn't say it's great for like the tiers I'm doing, or at least in comparison to Ice Nova Frostbolt. Arc is still really good, but it's not. You don't have the same single target. It's just single target is insane on this. I can't think of anything else to really talk about. But, oh, anyways, I went Queen of the Forest for quality of life. I know I went over this earlier, but you would shield charge, and then you would cyclone, shield charge, cyclone, for the most part. I went Queen of the Forest just so I can cyclone faster, because I didn't feel I needed to stick around in packs that long anymore. I just needed to get in, get a couple hits, literally just a couple hits, and the whole pack will explode, and I'm out. So it's just get in, go, leave. So I guess I'll do like a quick demonstration. There's a video of me killing Bog. It's a T10 map, but I mean the mods aren't like that difficult. Minus max res is one of them. But I hit all the nests, so he was super pumped up damage wise. So we'll do this also using Ice Golem for just a little bit extra crit, mostly. You could go Lightning Golem until you get like some attack speed jewels, I would say, and then it's just reliable amount of a little bit extra crit helps. You also have to worry, like, getting the colors on your gear is kind of tricky, right? This isn't too tricky. I'll go over like some of the gems after this. This isn't too tricky. Some of these aren't tricky. Oops. So like in this, Fall Cyclone, everything dies. Breach. See, it's like, you'll probably see videos of like Arc doing really well, clear wise, but like that Red Beast, it's the single target that really makes a huge difference at the moment, because this is pretty incredible clear. I mean, in comparison to like say a Winter Orb, like I'll go in parties versus with a Winter Orb and I still keep a, Winter Orb is so good right now for pure clear. Like, look at that. He was a 3, she was a 2, and they just got dunked on. Literally, like, they stood no chance. I can go into full 6-man parties, same tier maps, same everything, and I barely see my damage loss. Right? Like, I'll go in playing with BV characters and still out DPS them, even though they are spec'd for just pure DPS and clear. Still do more than them. But then I have the survival. I have like the defenses and the survivability that comes with the dodge and evasion and chill and aspect of the spider. It's just all around. This is a pretty fun and smooth playstyle. Oh, I let my blood rage drop off. And like Ancestral Protector, half the time I don't even drop it. I forget to drop it sometimes just because things die too quickly. I'm like, I could drop it down and maybe save half a second on the fight, but I don't need to. I could just get in there, do my damage, and get out. Now that was a pretty easy boss. He doesn't have a whole lot of life. Now, okay, let's go over this real quick. Warlord's Mark. You can increase it level wise as high as you want, as long as your strength can cover it. Blasphemy. All this is self-explanatory. Let me drop that. Herald of Ice. Go in Herald of Ice. Just because I have... Oh, what dropped? Oh, Herald of Ice dropped. I have the excess mana. Like, you don't really use a whole lot because of Warlord's Mark, right? Cyclone's mana cost is covered, and you have a generous amount of mana regen, just from a few nodes too. Like, that gives you some mana regen, and I think that's it. I'm fairly certain that's the only mana regen I have. Yeah, it's the only mana regen I actually have. You don't need much more, really. So that's covered. Sometimes you will run out of Cyclone mana, but it's only when you're doing really small, like really small, you know, against the fortification door. I have ran out of mana a couple times out of the hundreds of maps I've already done. Nothing really to worry about. Okay, so you get the Pandemonious. You know, I've been over this life gain on hit, aspect of the spider. This one is cast when damage taken, level 1. Moral Call, level 3. Because you want to go off kind of anytime you take like a spurt of damage. You want it to go off just so you can get your life back. So just have them go off whenever. You can increase this if you feel comfortable enough. You can have these higher. It doesn't really make a huge difference. You just want your cast when damage taken to really be at like what you feel would be like an oh shit, I just got hit hard, you know. But another reason why I have cast when damage taken on 1 is because I want Frost Bomb to go off as many times as it can. So anytime Frost Bomb pulses, mobs get minus 25 cold resistance. That's amazing for damage. And you want it to go off basically on any, like with Bestiary, you want it to go off on all of those mobs. That helps. Any betrayal mobs, you want it to go off. Rares with a lot of extra life, let it go off. So this works great with a level 1 cast when damage taken. Increased duration just so the secondary effect lasts longer, and a Mortal Call lasts longer. Mortal Call actually lasts quite a while, especially while mapping, because you got the Warlord's Mark, and when you go into the boss fight, once it triggers once, it'll last. So like your initial burst of damage that you'll take, the Mortal Call will last longer, and usually by then boss is already dead. He just melts. So, and here we got Leap Slam, Fortify, faster attacks, increase crit, just so I can get this. You can change this out if you don't really care to have your cross breeze go off when you Leap Slam. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Now if you're shield charging, I would most definitely, actually, if I have a shield charge, I'll show you, because cost breeze is, because of the change to the trigger rate, it's pretty cool what shield charge can do. When you shield charge like through a big pack, right, cost breeze can go off multiple times. It's best shown here. Okay. See? Get multiple casts per shield charge. It's neat. But I just like, because you don't really have gem room. Like, if you wanted to go shield charge, you would definitely want like flame dash. I don't know where you would fit it. You'd probably drop increased critical strikes, but then your shield charge, because it has such a slow attack speed, right? And you're doing one big burst, one big line. So you want it to crit. You want it to crit almost every time that it can. So to get the effect I just showed, you would want increased critical strikes, but then you'd also want flame dash. So just leap slam is better. You can jump, ditches, walls. You know how leap slam is. And here, Herald of Ice for the extra damage. Just because I have the mana, I can reserve it. Ancestral Protector when you need it. Onslaught. Here's another reason why Herald of Ice. Herald of Ice, even though through the node you are culling when you crit, Herald of Ice can still trigger Onslaught, which is amazing. It's not like a guaranteed thing. It's not like you'll always have Onslaught up. I would say through 40%, maybe 50%. If you're lucky, 60-70% of the map, you will have Onslaught up. And Onslaught just is a huge clear speed increase. It will make your Cyclone attack time way faster, which means more procs, more attack speed for like Leap Slam, more movement speed while you're cycloning. So you go through the pack faster. You don't have to kind of chug through it. You can make longer distance. Like with lower movement speed, you're constantly having to do that if you want to be, go out, in, out, close, out, close, out, close, out, close. Higher movement speed, if you fuck up, pardon my language, if you mess up and say you accidentally do like a long cyclone, the higher movement speed you have, the faster you'll clear that, so the faster you can adjust, which again is in turn defense, survivability, in a roundabout way, I guess. Oops. Where's that? Right there. Yeah. So you want that. Frostbolt in the Cosprees, linked with Cold Pen. Cold Pen is amazing. And then Ice Nova. You don't want Ice Nova first, because this goes in order. So Frostbolt will activate on the first crit, and then Ice Nova on the second crit. Now, if you had it in reverse, the Ice Nova would crit first, and this Ice Nova, and you'd basically just have this big burst on your Cyclone. You wouldn't have any like forward momentum AoE around you, or you would just have AoE here. You wouldn't have like AoE here plus here, So as you're going forward, it's dealing damage in front of you where you're aiming, right? So like if you're cycloning here, if you're cycloning down, you'd be having basically like a cone of giant burst AoE, right? Wherever you are attacking now, or wherever the mob is. So if, like, even if you skim the side of a pack of mobs, all of the burst will go in their direction. Now with Ice Nova on the main CoC setup, I like to go increase critical strikes for quality of life. You could change this out for like Conk. Conk would be really good against like bosses, even more damage. LE Focus, really good because these are LE Focus is really good because this Iron Will would be a hypothermia, which, as you know, hypothermia requires chill status effect on the mob. These will give the chill, so you can have that and LE Focus, still get the damage boost from hypothermia. Cyclone and Cast on Crit. Cast on Crit quality gives increased critical strike chance, so it's also very important. other than that, you can get belts with cooldown reduction, but again, cooldown reduction means you want even more attack speed. So, I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend them. I do recommend the cooldown reduction. However, it means that you need, like, it'd be an exponential increase in your gearing. Suddenly, instead of 3 socket or 3 stat jewels with 2 attack speed, 1 being life, suddenly you need 4 stat, 1 life, 3 attack speed on all of your jewels. And then you would need like a better attack speed on this. Something else you could do is get a Blood Rage enchant. Blood Rage enchant gives attack speed, like global attack speed, which is really good, but also very expensive. And I think it's higher. Hold on. I'm fairly certain it's higher. It is higher than, no, it's just 12, but it's global. So yeah, you'd still want the Cyclone one. But I mean, that's another option. It's slightly better. You'd get quality on your Blood Rage. You would get quality on anything you can to increase your damage. There's all kinds of ways that you can increase your damage. But again, it comes at the cost of exponential cost. If that makes sense. Cost equals cost. The cost of the cost is the cost. You can also get, flasks that'll increase your damage. Dying Sun comes to mind. If you wanted a Dying Sun, now you could get a Dying Sun. It would increase your clear speed, wouldn't really increase your damage. Here's an option that I haven't really messed around with. Dropping a Frozen Trail for another jewel socket is an option because you only need 2 Frostbolt projectiles out. Alright? 1 Frozen Trail will give you 3. And 2 Frozen Trails means that your Frostbolts travel faster. 1 would slow it down a little bit, so it'd keep the forward momentum more contained, forward damage more contained, which in turn would be even more shotgunning. Yeah. So you have several options. You could even drop these instead of a jewel, get more crit on the tree, get more life. There's all kinds of options you can do. Just mess around with it a little bit. This is the best that I have gotten to at the moment. I'm still messing around, but I hope this helped a little bit for leveling. Again, we go the way I showed. The first you want, okay, for your normal lab you want unstable infusion, and then you want deadly infusion. It's just, that's huge crit that you'll always have. I went opportunistic for movement speed and the defenses that it does give. You take no extra damage from critical strikes while there's only one nearby enemy. With the amount of life you have and the amount of dodge and evasion, really the only time that you will be killed is, well, there's 2. User error is the major cause of death, or the insta-kill crits that just destroy you, on, like, especially on bosses. So with this node, great example, Azaro. You're fighting Azaro. You're doing great. He's hitting you, but then you're healing back up. Suddenly, he just one-shots you. He crit you. That's what that is. This prevents that. And because of the amount of burst AoE that you have, chances are, if a boss summons, not even chances are, if the boss is summoning adds, you are killing them so quickly that opportunistic will always be up. So you will not be crit by the enemy. And then I went this. Really, this helps a little bit on damage. The biggest benefit is the Coaling Strike. Coaling Strike's pretty nice. If you're going shield charge, then it's also very nice for the 100% more critical strike chance against enemies that are on full life. That is very good, and I would still recommend the critical strike support, just so you have basically 100% crit chance on every shield charge. But then, you know, if you don't mind sometimes not critting, you could probably get Flame Dash. Might be good. Depends on what you enjoy more. I like Leap Slam, so then I don't have to have multiple buttons. I'm already starved on buttons, as is. You know, I could probably fit in another skill, maybe two, but I don't like having too many buttons. I like having more than one button, you know, more than just a one button, one skill type of setup. But, you know, I've got my Ice Nova, Cyclone, Fall Cyclone, Ancestral Protector, Blood Rage to keep up, Leap Slam. And, you know, I could technically, these could be skills too, but I'm good. For pots, for potions, blasts, Stibnite for the percent increased evasion rating. It's really good before you get Pandemonious. It's still really good once you have Pandemonious, purely because of the increased evasion rating. It's great. Quicksilver, obviously. Diamond Flask, obviously. Jade Flask of Reflexes, obviously. Especially if Queen of the Forest. If you're not going to Queen of the Forest, you can drop the Jade Flask. You lose evasion, that's fine. Drop the Stibnite, drop both of them. You'll basically have no evasion. You'll probably have like 25%, but you'll still have the dodge. And you could go Lore Weave for elemental defenses. Very good option. Gives crit, elemental damage. It's pretty good. You could also go with like a Carcass Jack for more AoE clearing, which I don't think you would need, but hey, it's up to you. You could also go, you have a few other options. I don't know, I'm kind of blanking right now. Yeah, I can't think of any. But you'll see them. Just defensive. You want your chess piece to be defensive. To me, movement speed is defensive. Is a defensive ability. So I like it. And it's quality of life. It just feels good. But if you didn't want to go Queen of the Forest, my second choice would be a Lore Weave. Go with a Lore Weave. You won't go wrong. You can't go wrong with a Lore Weave. So let's say if you went Lore Weave, you would get a Wise Oak. Most definitely. You'd probably get a Dying Sun if you can afford it. If not, that's fine. You could probably go with... Let's see. Let's go to items. Besides the... where is Flask? It's over here. Am I retarded? Yeah, there it is. So, any slot. So you could probably go with an Itziri's Promise. Itziri's Promise might be fitting for a little bit of extra leech. You would hit your leech cap fairly quickly, even with just the Warlord's Mark, but you know, you could overdo it, I guess. Get like a Blood with Karui for your flask, for your life flask would be nice. You'd have to get bleed on a different flask, but you could go with like phasing, a silver flask if you want. Trying to think. Really, I would just go with a maybe a Taste of Hate. Taste of Hate would be good. Yeah, you could totally go with the Taste of Hate. For the defensiveness of it. Yeah. Another thing to note: if you're going cost freeze, you don't have any physical damage. Like really, So anything like these gloves, physical attack damage leeches mana. That's bad. You don't do any physical damage unless you get like a hypnotic jewel or a murderous jewel. I don't know why I said hypnotic. A murderous jewel with flat fizz. Be really the only way you could get any amount of physical, but then it wouldn't be worth it. Still wouldn't be worth it. You just wouldn't. You don't need the mana leech. That's the thing. Or like if that was life, you don't really need it because you're already going to be so close to max life leech cap. But yeah. If anyone has any questions, you can contact me. This is my character name. You can contact me through my account name, Lewdiest. If you would like to, my guild has a lot of spots open too. If you want to join it, it's just something I made kind of on a whim, and I don't really advertise it or anything, so it's small. If you want to join it, hit, message me in game. I can get an invite. Yeah, if you have if you ever want to contact me, ask me a question, any of that, shoot a whisper over to Lewdiest. I'm online quite a bit. So, yeah. Alright. I hope this answers any cast on crit questions you might have had, or any of that. This is kind of dragging on, so bye. Bye, everybody.